on Hume Street in Dunkeld. I kid you not. Go there now towards Rosebank or Dunkeld. There was a water leak. I know because I reported it. I reported it in 2015 when I was training for the Two Oceans Marathon. I used to run through that route. I saw the water leak. I saw it when I was in Johannesburg in December last year. I promise you, I'm not lying. A water leak of over 10 years. It would just go like that. The people just probably reported it and they left it at that.
This episode was brought to you by 91.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Readiness Report with me, Redi Tlhabi, in partnership with the Daily Maverick. This is really one of my favorite spaces. I get to speak to interesting people, but I also get to vent and reflect on things that matter, on things that are happening in the world. I was in Johannesburg for 2 nights. My friends are very angry with me because there were no moments for dinners and coffees and stuff. I was there for 2 nights to moderate the Nelson Mandela annual lecture, the 23rd. As you know, it's all over the news. It was addressed by the UN Special Rapporteur on Palestine and occupied territories, Francesca Albanese. I was there and I was moderating because that's what I do. And I've been moderating for multiple organizations, including the Nelson Mandela Foundation. This was probably my 5th or 6th lecture that I moderated. And it was interesting. I'll share some thoughts on that another time. But here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about my relationship with the city of Joburg. Disclaimer. I get triggered so easily when it comes to COJ. Why? Because Johannesburg is my city. It's where I was born. I grew up in Soweto. I moved to the East Rand when I was a teenager. I went back to Johannesburg. I've lived and worked there all my life. All these, this globe trotting is new in my life. But my entire life and mark can be traced in Johannesburg. It is the city of home, of hopes, of career aspirations that were met, some not met. It's a place where my friendships were formed, a place where I lost my dad in Soweto in the 80s. It is where my political consciousness began, my intellectual curiosity about so many subjects. That's where it all began. It is a place where very special teachers shaped me and influenced me positively. It is a city where I met the love of my life, where I got married, where I have children, where I bought my first home, where I moved up into the world, that social mobility that comes with career advancements. And it is a place where we bought our first home as a couple together, a home where our children were born. I loved my house. I loved my house in Johannesburg. And there were always jokes about the suburb I lived in. We always had electricity problems. And people will say, such a fancy suburb, and you always have blackouts. I was always reporting problems with the city of Joburg. And here's the thing about me. I am a bit of a hothead in many areas, but I'm very patient when it comes to matters that I can't control. So if you switch off my lights and I don't know when they're going to come back, if there's a burst water pipe and I don't know where you're going to fix it, when it's going to be fixed, I take a deep breath and I'm practical and I work with the system. I report, I go through the motions, all of it. And so at the point where I got exhausted with the city of Joburg, it had been a good 15 years of consistent problems, inflated billing, problems that go unresolved. And I concluded that the city of Joburg is an extortionate service provider. I think they really hate the middle class. They know whom they can bully to extract maximum fees. They know which constituencies to leave alone. I grew up in Soweto. Don't tell me that people in Soweto can't pay. There are many who can pay and they choose not to. There are many who do pay. I know my grandmother used to get very offended when it was in the news that Soweto residents don't pay. She was upset in her 80s and 90s. May her soul rest in peace. She used to get upset because with her pension from SASSA, she would pay. So there's a lot of money in Soweto. But we saw how the ANC government was afraid of losing that constituency, and they let people get away with illegal connections, with non-payment and so on, and disadvantaging those who pay. But if you lived in Johannesburg suburbs, they almost had a philosophy to pick on regular rate payers, people like you and I, who can afford to pay, who don't mind subsidizing the poor, because I think how we build function our society is that those of us who can pay must pay. But why not subsidize an indigent family? That's what happens in Washington, where I live. When you get an inflated bill, they invite you to call and speak about affordability and agree on terms of payment. All I experienced in the city of Joburg is that if I was just 1 day late, 2 days late with my bill, they start bullying you, they start putting notices on your gate and so on. But they wouldn't do that in certain townships because they are afraid. But if you are a reliable payer, they will try to extract as much out of you as they possibly can. That was my experience with the city of Joburg. The second thing is that in the street where I lived, we used to crack a joke. If you reported the electricity, and we were on WhatsApp groups and we shared, oh, we saw the city power truck is coming to fix and so on, and people would be high-fiving and happy. And some of us would say, be cautious. When you see the city power truck and it's coming to fix something, rest assured that they will damage the water pipe. They fix something and they break something at the same time. And then you have to report the water. And the water people, our shift is finished. I literally am not sharing stuff that I heard. It's stuff that I dealt with. I would go out in the street on the pavement and say, oops, you've cut the water pipe. They say, no, that's not us. You need to log another fault. Say, no, but you are here. Why don't you just fix it? No, our shift is off. We were not given this job. You need to go back on and report, and then it will take another day or two or whatever.
Change is daunting, challenging, disorientating, unstoppable. Change is inevitable. Change is wise. Change is action. It's liberating, rewarding. Change is brave. Change is opportunity. We're always ready to invest in it. 91. Investing for a world of change.
Anyway, the billing system in Johannesburg, that was the bane of my existence. Let me tell you a true story. When I was working on Talk Radio 702, I used to get a lot of complaints about the billing system in Johannesburg. And I too was experiencing it, but I thought, don't make this about you, take all the complaints. And I used to deal with those complaints in the consumer hour on Talk Radio 702. But then matters came to a head for my husband and I when our bill would be, this is now in 2011, 2012, over 10 years ago, we'd get a bill of 30,000, water, electricity, and property rates. When I questioned it, it would go down to 8,000. 3 months later, they inflated again to 35,000, 40,000, 28,000, always with the threatening language. And they can't explain how they reach those figures. I started reading my own, recording my own meter readings. And at all times, I'll never forget, especially during the COVID lockdown, we received a bill where the water was 24,000 rands. There was no leak. There was nothing. I fought it. I questioned it. And then I took a picture of my meter reading. They had billed me 6 times what was written on my meter reading. So their estimates were wrong, but they're never wrong below. They are wrong up. I caused such a stink, such a storm. I remember it was May 2020. Guess what, my friends? The next month, my bill was 4,000. How does a bill move from the 30s to 4,000? It's just arbitrary. These people are just playing. And over the years, I started resenting the fact that you had City of Joburg officials who would just do something so sadistic to us. We are trying to pay school fees. We are trying to employ people. We are trying to keep the economy going. But they would just decide to be so punitive and extortionate to make it impossible for us to live in the city that we love. And when you question it, it's pay now, speak later. That's not what happens where I live. That's not what happened when I live in London. And this has nothing to do with first world, second world. It's an attitude. Where is your heart? Why do you think hardworking Joburg residents have 40,000, 35,000 to throw around? And that you can just take it and get it immediately? What must their children eat? What must they wear? What about other expenses? What about families who depend on us for their livelihood? And so I started getting so angry, especially this administration of the City of Joburg. The hubris, the arrogance, the dismissive attitude, their refusal to just engage with us and see us as human beings. But I also wondered strategically, what is it that makes City of Joburg officials think that the best way to build the city is to break the middle class, the people who have money to spend in the economy? Who are they engaging? Where's the data? Where's the empirical evidence? What books are they reading? How are they engaging with their counterparts about what it means to run a successful city? While they are being extortionate, services are going down, dilapidated infrastructure. I would count the number of traffic lights that are not working for months on end. I'd be very surprised if this traffic light is fixed. Maybe it was fixed because of the foreign ministers for G20 earlier this year. If you're driving on the M1 South going to Soweto and you take that Maverick off-ramp, that traffic light went down. I used to drive that way going to Meadowlands to see my late friend's mom. That traffic light was down for 3 years. It probably is still down, but I haven't seen it in 2 years. But it was 3 years of me seeing it. On Hume Street in Dunkeld, I kid you not, go there now towards Rosebank or Dunkeld. There was a water leak. I know because I reported it. I reported it in 2015 when I was training for the Two Oceans Marathon. I used to run through that route. I saw the water leak. I saw it when I was in Johannesburg in December last year. I promise you, I'm not lying. A water leak of over 10 years. It would just go like that. The people just probably reported it and they left it at that. But where am I going with all of this? In December 2023, my husband and I had not been living, our family had not been living in our home. We had solar. Our electricity bill went down. We had not had tenants in our home for months. It was empty for about 4 months. But in December, we got a bill of about 35,000 rands with water being, no, it was 39,000 with water being 28,000. No one living in the house, no leaks, just a caretaker who used to come just to check the security and go. But it was 39,000. I'd never seen my husband so devoured of joy and humor. He's the calmest person I know. But he'd had enough of the abuse. He'd had enough of the extortionate practices. I tried to deal with it, writing polite emails, reaching out, asking what's the problem and all of that. Response, pay now. Or you are in arrears already. Just the way they speak to us. Just mothers and fathers working for the City of Joburg, thinking that anyone else in the world has 39,000. I explained to them that we're not living in that house. There's no one in that house. There are no leaks. I've checked. How do you justify this bill? Listen to what they said to me. They said the billing, the method of calculation is in keeping with patterns from previous years. I'm going to say that again. The method of billing, the calculation, is in keeping with the patterns from previous years. Bingo. The pattern has been broken. We're not living there. So the pattern when it was me, my husband, 2 children and 2 staff members living there, friends coming to visit, visitors sleeping over. You are using the same pattern in a house that's been empty for 4 months. You've just proven my point. You can't justify this amount. I fought and fought and fought. The property was evaluated, yeah. They invited us to challenge the evaluation and we had it evaluated and they'd evaluated by an extra couple of million. I'm not talking 500,000, 200,000. I'm talking a couple of million. I queried that. And that's the thing. It takes away your time, your joy, your focus. Dealing with this official who loses your email. This one doesn't know what you're talking about. This one is on leave. So the property, the rates and taxes, that didn't go anywhere. They'd over-evaluated our house. The water was 29,000. But you know what I figured out? The electricity costs went down when we went off the grid. So they have to find the money somewhere. They have to make it up. There's no scientific methodology. There's no justification. They just see we're losing money here, so we got to make it up. So when that bill came, when we were living in DC and our house was empty for 4 months, all the memories of what we'd gone through with the city of Joburg just came flooding back. I was literally speechless. You know, when you feel like, I know you call it a lump in your throat. It felt like I'd swallowed some watermelons. I felt disrespected, humiliated, frustrated, knowing that they can punish me. They can cut off this, cut off water, do this, do that. They don't deal with us as though we are equals, as though we are allies in trying to build a city together. And what memories came to mind? I had memories of me as a new mom on maternity leave. I'd expressed my baby's milk, the baby's now 12, and put it in the freezer as we're supposed to. And we had no electricity. It wasn't load shedding. We had no electricity. There was something wrong and they were taking long to fix it. Neighbors were frustrated. Over 2 days, the milk went off, or 3 days, and I had to throw it out. I've got like a 5-week-old baby. I threw out the milk. Food just getting spoiled. Security matters. There's a neighbor whose house got broken into because the security cameras were not working. The alarm was off because the electricity was off. I had memories of me taking the day off to go to Braamfontein to query a bill that we couldn't afford. I stayed in that queue. I took the day off, my annual leave. I stayed in that queue all day. Nothing was happening because they were offline. And then they said we must, at 3 o'clock, I think they said we must come back the next day. I have to go to work. Eventually, Brian, my husband, took the day off to go and sort this out. I said to him, take some lunch, some patkos, sandwiches. You're going to be there the whole day. He says, no, I'm not even taking the day off. He had a medical practice in Soweto. He thought he'll just go to Braamfontein in the morning and then go to Soweto. Shem, poor guy. When I finished my show in 702 at 12, he called me and said, I'm so hungry. Please bring me a sandwich. I'm still in the queue. Sent him a sandwich and some newspapers. He stayed there until 3:30. A day of economic activity and work lost. And that's what these fools are not thinking about. You punishing people, you are affecting the economy. It means there's less money in the system. So all these bonuses and these monies that you want, you're not going to get them if people can't work and people can't afford to live in that city. Eventually, that matter was resolved with a lawyer's letter. We had to engage a lawyer. This was around 2015. Pay a lawyer to sort out a municipal issue, not even to sort it out, to get a response through different administration. Fast forward, to be honest, when Herman Mashaba was the mayor, the city was under the DA, we did get some responses, we did get some resolutions. Our bill stabilized. It did stabilize for a while. Fast forward, next local government elections, the current guys come in through this coalition and whatever else is going on. The bills start going up and up and up and up and up. So that December 2023, those are the memories that came. And my husband says, we have to sell the house. I said, this is our home. It's our home. We are in Washington to work. It will be over one day. We'll go back to our... He says, it's just a house. The home is where we are as a family. This is humiliating. It's disrespectful. The way they are dismissing us, telling them we owe them. Let's just pay this 39,000 and cut our losses in Johannesburg. And we mentioned other things. The signage on the road was not there. The long grass that was uncut, the parks that you can't even access, the traffic lights that are not working, the burst water pipes that never just get fixed. And then you read stories of their contracts, their tenders, their business practices that are milking the system. Yet they will attack you and squeeze you and extract every cent from you. So we put our house on the market and it was a bitter decision. It wasn't a decision made in happiness. It wasn't. We sold our home. We don't have a home in Johannesburg because the COJ broke us. The city of Johannesburg broke us. And I'm still on the WhatsApp groups with my previous neighbors because we became friends. They tell me stuff like that the water pressure, it drips and drabs. Sometimes they don't have electricity. My mother still lives in Johannesburg. I still get those reports. And when I come home, I see the dilapidation, the breakdown, the neglect of infrastructure, the lack of dignity, the litter. I see it and I weep. But this past weekend, I was in Johannesburg. Whoa, from OR Tambo to my mom's house. in Bryanston, on the N3, the Galuli's interchange, Van Buren interchange, the extent of roadworks at night, because I landed at night. Oh, they are fixing. The traffic lights are up. The signage, the grass is being cut. All for G20. Because you like cosmetic changes. You like to flex to people. You like pageantry. But at the heart of who we are, of respecting your residents, giving them dignity, and deciding that the people who pay their bills, even those who can't afford it, deserve the same dignity. You're showing off for visitors, but you have no regard for the people who live in that city, who have built its economy, who continue to sacrifice for it. Transport infrastructure, the trains that get stuck, our mothers and fathers waking up at 4 at the crack of dawn just to catch trains that are unreliable. The indignity of the litter around us, okay, that's our responsibility too, but you do have budgets for that. And so I came home this past weekend and I saw a city at work, because you are now galloping, you are running out of time. The G20 heads of state is happening on the 21st to the 23rd of November, and the city shall be beautiful, just like in the World Cup. The city shall be pristine, because that's what matters to you, not your ongoing relationship with people who never abandoned. I mean, I live here because I work, but I never abandoned my city, because as a taxpayer in South Africa and somebody who owned a property, I still had links. I still had attachments, but I've had to sever them because I can't afford it. Because the city of Joburg treats residents with absolute disdain. The city of Joburg does not bring modern practices, international best practice on how to run a city that is the international. In fact, that is the economic hub. Johannesburg is the economic hub of the continent, of the subcontinent, at least Southern Africa. But you are not going to be savvy. You are not going to do your forensic analysis. You're not going to modernize. You're not going to get the professionals in. Local government is just an area where you make political appointments. You are sitting on gold. You are sitting on an opportunity to bring in the technocrats, the engineers, to help get this city going. And so I was happy to come home and see that they can improve infrastructure if they want to. They can make it clean if they want to. But I'll tell you what, you can put all the cosmetic changes that you want with poor leadership in Johannesburg, with people who have no vision in Johannesburg, and most importantly, with people who don't care about fellow residents, who don't care what happens to you, what happens to your pocket, what happens to your home, your security. With people like that, the city will not thrive. I know in South Africa what we like to do. Somebody gives an example from an international city. It's like, don't tell us about America. Don't tell us about London. Folks, listen. Just listen. There are certain things that have nothing to do with money. They just have something to do with the heart. They are about how you make people feel. When I get my gas bill in DC, and I can see there's a discount if I pay early, I want to pay early. When I get my bill and I'm invited to donate a discount to someone who can't afford it, I do it. That $5 discount, $10, I do it. You know why? You know why? Because they're smart. On that bill, they will tell me about free services. They'll tell me that there is a Halloween party, a free party for kids. They'll tell me that the library has new books, the parks. So it's a psychological thing, because in my mind, I'm thinking, you are asking me to donate for someone who can't pay their gas bill this month. But then you've indirectly seduced me into doing it, because you're telling me about all these wonderful things that you are doing as a city. But the one that took my breath away, we had a winter storm, a snowstorm in January, and our gas bill was 5 times what it usually is, and I was taken aback. But in bold letters, they wrote, if you can't afford to pay it, call us. We could have paid it, but I wanted to test the system. I called Washington Gas or the city, whoever they are, I called. The call took 3 minutes. They just said, okay, what are the acceptable terms? Over how many months do you want to pay? We agreed on the terms. I was treated with dignity. In the end, I paid it within 2 months. I just wanted to test the system. And then they send you notices that, do you know that you could qualify for a waiver if you do this and this? If you volunteer here, you can get this. Those are small things that have nothing to do with the first world. It has everything to do with being smart, with being creative, treating people with dignity, telling them what's in it for them, but also demonstrating that you are working yourself. You're keeping the libraries alive. The Joburg City Library just opened after so many years. Why do you shut down a place of stimulation for children, for adults, for students, a place of heritage that should inspire pride? Show us what you're doing, not in an episodic or event-driven manner, but as a matter of principle, of duty, and your obligation to your residents. And so Johannesburg, I was there. It was great to see a city at work, but how enduring will that be? Will they keep it up? Will they remember that we are people? We are residents. We want to live harmoniously. Will they improve service? Or are we just the city's cash cows? That's the Readiness Report with me, Redi Tlhabi, and the Daily Maverick.